What's going on, everybody? This is Burton back in the crypt for the first time in a couple weeks. We are officially back from our hiatus. I was on a trip with my family for the first time in my life overseas, farthest I've ever been away from home by far. We went to Scotland. We went to Edinburgh and Inverness in Scotland in the UK. We had a fantastic time. Aaron also was on vacation. He went down to Tennessee to see some family. But we are back. We are both back. It's been a bit of a hectic week. I wanted to get in here. This is a special episode for you guys, kind of a weird one, but I wanted to give it a little intro up here at the top. So it's been kind of a hectic week since we've been back. Had a lot to get in order. For anyone who knows Michigan and is involved in the Michigan weather right now, we've had crazy fucking rain. As a result, we've had some water in the basement, some water in the crypt. Not really all the way in the crypt. Nothing's damaged, nothing's ruined. We're all good. We just had to get that taken care of. So things have been a little hectic. Between that, also trying to get moving on getting a new fucking car since my Metalmobile died a few weeks back. But that should hopefully be happening here very, very shortly. So I just had to get a few things in order when we got back. Same with Aaron. He is actually had to spend the week, the rest of his week gearing up for his big show. One of the reasons why I wanted to jump in here tonight. I'm not sure when I'm going to get this posted, hopefully within the next hour or so, but tonight Aaron Bogwraith will be playing at the Sanctuary in Detroit with the Breathing Process and Boreworm show. It's in Hamtramck in Detroit on Kniff, right down the street from Smalls Bar. If you're in the area tonight, be sure to fucking check this one out. It's going to be outstanding. I will be in attendance. Maybe all of Lost in the Dark. We're not sure if Preston's going to be there yet, but we will be handing out stickers at the Bogwraith booth. So please come say hi, get a sticker, and check out the show. It's going to be a very awesome show. So about this episode, it was a really fun trip, and everyone else in my family has traveled overseas many, many, many times. For any of you who listen to past episodes, my sister Catie, she's been to Africa, all over Europe. She's worked in Africa a bunch of times, actually going back to work more in Africa in a couple of weeks. Been all over Europe. My sister Grace, same. She's been all over Europe, going back to Germany for a few weeks in a couple weeks. So yeah, they are all fucking world travelers. I go to concerts. That's what I do. So this was my first time dipping my toe into that pond, and it was wild. It was quite the experience. We're gonna get a lot more into it on the next episode with Aaron, where him and I can both talk about our trips together. But this episode was actually recorded. We encountered a lot of fucking flight delays. Flying fucking sucks. Okay, flying fucking sucks. We encountered a lot of flight delays, and then the biggest one was on our way home. We were so close. And then we got delayed from 4:30 until 11:30. So like 7 hours. And in that time, we got so fucking bored that I decided to record a layover podcast at the Logan International Airport in Boston with my two sisters, Catie and Grace. And that is what you're about to hear. We recorded it on my iPhone, so no mixer, no good mics, no nothing. Lots of background noise. You're getting the raw deal. I tried to cut out some of the background noise, but that is the only edit that I made, just to make it a little easier for you to listen to. Hopefully it sounds pretty good. But yeah, we just decided to sit down and record a quick half hour. So at least I'd have something to post for you guys. Aaron, like I said, I was not able to get him back in the crypt before his show tonight, but we will definitely be recording a big, fat, glorious episode for you guys this weekend. And then sooner than later, I will be making the trip back out to the Flint crypt. It has been far too long since A, I've seen Preston, and B, Preston's been on. He's constantly working in the background. He's done all those fantastic Godzilla pictures we did for Lost in the Dark and stuff. And he's always doing stuff. But him back on an episode immediately, and I haven't seen him since I've been back from the trip, so I want to tell him about the trip. I'm very excited to tell him about my time at Loch fucking Ness. But yeah, I guess that's about it for the intro. I just wanted to give a shout out and be sure to mention, if you're hearing this and have the opportunity to make it to Detroit tonight to the Sanctuary, it's like a $10 ticket, I think, maybe $12 at the door or something like that. Try to make it down. It's going to be an amazing show. Bogwraith, I think after this, only has one show left this year, so if you want a chance to see Bogwraith, this is a good one to see him. The next one's going to be in Lansing, I think, next month, I believe. I'm going to have to double check that when Aaron comes on. But yeah, tonight, Sanctuary, doors at 6, Bogwraith's at 8. Be sure to be there. And other than that, yeah, that's about it for this part of it. So I guess I'll get the actual episode. So everything you hear from here on out will be me, my sister, and my two sisters recording on the iPhone in the middle of the Logan International Airport in Boston, in the United States. So yeah, I hope you enjoy, and we'll be back again very, very soon. Love you all to death. Bye-bye. Hello and welcome to another episode of Lost in the Dark podcast.
Silence on the set.
What's happening right now? As we speak, I'm sitting here with my two sisters, Catie.
CB from the 313.
And Grace.
Hello. AKA Goose.
We are in some fucking airport in Boston.
Logan Airport.
Experiencing like a many-hour delay.
Like 8 hours, I think, now.
8 hours. This is the second delay on this trip. This major delay. We've returned from Scotland for a week. We were in Scotland for a week.
We're back.
And we're back now. And, yeah, so we have nothing else to do.
Literally just killing time here.
I figured, let's record. So,
it's about 9.
How do you guys, yeah, it's about 9 o'clock at night.
9:25.
For the record, this is the first time this week that we have actually seen the sun go down. Mm-hmm. The sun is completely set. Apparently the sun doesn't set in Scotland this time of year. I haven't seen the sun set in a week.
You know, they say the sun never sets on a badass. So.
Is that?
Could have been part of it.
Is that what they say?
Someone says it.
Oh.
Good shit.
You know, for someone who, like, never hasn't traveled in 15 years, this is pretty much a waking nightmare.
Well, I wouldn't say you haven't traveled in 15 years. I would say you haven't flown.
I haven't flown or really yeah, that's true. I've traveled out of the state a bit.
Right.
Not
Driving
much.
trips are still travel.
I haven't flown in 15 years, though.
Right.
Besides this week.
And how's that been going for you?
Nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
This has been a rough flights, though, on this trip.
Now, see, you and Grace, both of you have traveled much, much more than me. You've taken many more international flights than I have. Is this normal? Like we had what, like a 5-hour delay on the way to JFK to go to Scotland the first day, and now we're trying to get home back to Toronto, and we got like an 8-hour delay. Mm-hmm. Is this sort of thing is this happen on the regular? What is this?
In my experience, normally one of your flights always gets screwed up. Like, no matter where you're going, there's always going to be some kind of delay for one of your flights. Rarely to this scale, and rarely on both ends, in my experience. But the thing about airlines and traveling is that no matter what airline you do, no matter how good you think everything's going to line up, there's always going to be a case scenario where things get screwed up and you get delays and you miss your connections. That's always going to happen no matter where you are. So you just kind of got to roll with it.
It's just, it really, because so I follow and I'm obsessed with all the bands and everything like that. It's mind-boggling to me. Like experiencing what we've experienced in the past week, it's mind-boggling that a band can even do a tour.
What kind of music do you listen to?
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Like, you know what I mean?
For people, for their job that travel extensively, you know, props to them. But the last 2 major international flights I've taken have had delays by days.
Jesus Christ.
On my flight to Malawi in 2016, and then my 2017, I think 2017. And then my flight to Senegal last year, both times we went to the airport, we tried to get checked in, our flight got delayed, and it was one of those things where it was like, this flight connected to this flight, I think there were 3 of them, and so because you missed the first one, you missed the whole itinerary, and with those international flights, they weren't able to rebook us until 2 days later.
Oh my God.
And that's just the frequency of flights they could, like one of those airports was in Ethiopia, and it's just like a hot mess, So... yeah, I've come to expect it, but I still wouldn't say it's normal.
I mean, what's crazy to me is even so one of my favorite comedians and podcasts that I listen to is Joey Coco Diaz, and his podcast is called The Church of What's Happening Now. I absolutely love that guy, and I'm actually going to see him in Detroit in November. But he even got caught in the Delta mess last Saturday when we got caught in it, when we had that 5-hour delay because their GPS system and everything was down. He was in Atlanta and missed his flight and actually had to cancel a show because of it.
Right.
And it's like stuff like that. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, that's missing out. That not only is the flight and everything costing you money, but now you're missing out on money because you missed the show. You know what I mean? Like,
well, it can be really bad. Like, we're traveling with our grandma, and she has a doctor's appointment for her cancer treatment the day after we get back, and that's something that's like, if you miss it,
that's bad.
Can really mess things
she was
up.
Technically supposed to have it tomorrow, but she's like, let me get it on Wednesday because that's when I'll be back.
So it's like, for me right now, yeah, like if we really got delayed, I might miss some work. It wouldn't be a huge deal, but for stuff like that, people really need to be where they need to be.
Yeah, or like how many people missed a connecting flight to whatever. Grace and I were sitting next to a girl on the way out here, who missed her connection. Because of how late our flight was that day. Like, that's it's just mind-boggling.
I always thought it made...
I didn't know.
It made more sense why... and I don't know how common it is with bands today, but I know for, like, politicians and campaigns, you still get tour buses or buses.
A lot of bands
that stuff you control.
do the bus. Sure, yeah.
And I always thought that made more sense when you think about this, because, honestly, a lot of this stuff is a crapshoot. And with buses, I mean, sure, maybe a road closes, but the odds are you can still get where you're going, even if it takes longer.
Right?
Yeah. Yep. A lot of them do. At least, well, see, that's the thing, though, is, sure, you can do that within, like, North America. But, like, if a North American band has a European tour, you know what I mean?
I mean, with,
they often do.
Scooters now, I'm talking the Limes and the Birds, you can really get places quick.
Segue to your destination.
They're not in, they were all over Lansing and East Lansing.
Private conclave and I should go away.
Oh, shit. Dad's here.
Yeah. We're casting.
Casting some pods.
Anything you want to say?
Oh my goodness.
Can we say casting
the shadows in the
pods
dark?
again?
This is the podcast.
We're casting some pods, yeah.
Lost in the dark, baby.
I actually just read an article that those the scooters, they were all over the greater Lansing area last year, and now they're nowhere to be found.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know someone who goes to too many East Lansing City Council meetings, or listens and reads the minutes of them, and apparently they were like flipping their shit over like the regulations about the scooters.
I heard that it's possible that the company that was doing it in the area was waiting for like some sort of thing from MSU or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff.
Something, I don't know, yeah.
I saw one in a tree outside of my house, and it was a lime, and it was in a tree, so I took a picture of it and I was like, look, I got a lime tree down here in Detroit. And I never felt like I got enough credit for that joke, so I'm glad I had this chance. Thank you.
That was a good joke. I had this
chance to repeat it. But I also saw one in the Detroit River, so
you can actually get
hit or miss.
You can get paid for picking them up at night and charging them.
I looked into that.
Yeah.
But I also read some stuff that it's almost not worth the hassle, especially because, well, for me, I live in an apartment, so I'd have to drag them upstairs and downstairs, and ended up. If
you have a house and a truck, it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can just throw them on.
Yeah, it's not a bad move
charge
if you have
in
a house
your garage.
and a truck. Yeah. But outside of that,
I listened to a thing about them in Detroit specifically because there's been some issues with the scooters in other cities because they kind of appear out of nowhere. Like literally overnight one day,
Yeah.
no scooters. I woke up the next day,
Yep.
scooters all over the city.
Same in Lansing.
But apparently, a lot of work was done with the mayor's office did a lot of work and like actually looking into how the scooters worked in other cities, and they made some decisions about Detroit, and I think that's kind of cool. Like they were very intentional about getting the scooters every day. Some percentage of the scooters have to start in neighborhoods in Detroit and not just like campus marches downtown.
Okay.
Because they're using this. Some people are actually using this as like transport to get to a store, to get to their job, to get to wherever. So it doesn't make sense if they're all downtown, because then you're only gonna use it if you're already down there. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Well, and your neighborhood is an area that I've been familiar with for a long time because it's right down the block from Armando's, and so since I started going down there on my own to now, I've seen a massive transformation to the point where even now, you guys have smoother roads in that neighborhood than in all of Lansing, and B, I noticed you got those like city bikes, like bicycles.
Mogo, yeah.
What are those about? Like that's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and those are popping up everywhere too. That they were in Chicago. I think they're out in out west and stuff too. It's the same idea. You pay for it for a certain amount of time, and you can ride it, and you can drop it off at any station. Those are pretty cool.
It's handy, that's for sure.
I haven't done it yet because I have my own bike, but there's a time limit on it, which I think that's the only thing that kind of bugs people, is like you have it for a certain amount of time before you have to get it back to a docking station. I think it's to prevent theft. But yeah, people really like them. They're really cool.
And
they ride well.
And at least on the scooters, I know they all have GPS trackers, so the company always knows where they are.
Yeah, because, there was one right outside my school one day. It was just sitting there, and so I, without paying or anything, I just hopped on it and I started like kicking, to drive it away just to see what would happen. And a pretty loud alarm went off.
Oh, Jesus.
And it shut down. Like then I couldn't move the tires. So there's some sort of security device on it.
That's slick. That's slick.
That's cool. I don't know how we got on scooters, but
Grace, what is this? Are these like the longest delays you've ever experienced?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, lean in a little bit.
I think for plane, maybe yes. I think I had a 6 or 7 hour delay once on a train from Chicago to Lansing.
A train got delayed?
Amtrak from Chicago to Lansing. It was I was really young. It was probably 5 years ago. That was the worst delay of my life as of yet. But I think this is the longest I've had one for a plane. This is what, 7 hours now?
Yeah, close to 8.
Roughly 7-8ish hours. I can't complain though, because I was texting some of my friends, and it was because we're here, and I was just like, I need to get out, I need to vent to someone. I texted one of my friends, and she was, her family is from Kazakhstan, and she texted me, she was like, yeah, no, once I had an 8-hour delay in an airport in Russia, and she says, like, fucking freezing cold there, so don't bitch. And I'm like, I can't complain with that.
Well, in fairness, the flight we had to JFK at the beginning of the week, the fucking air conditioner was broken. I can't even tell you the swamp ass I had.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
Oh my god.
Was that flight delayed? Yeah, that flight was delayed.
5 hours. That flight was delayed for 5 hours.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah, because we were supposed to spend 5 hours at JFK. We actually ended up spending like 2 or 3 hours at JFK because that flight got delayed too.
Right. So it was heavily delayed, and then we got on, and it was delayed after we were on the plane. The air conditioning wasn't working, so it was hot. It was sweaty, and we were just sitting there. I mean, just absolutely helpless. What can you do?
Yeah.
What can you do,
You know what got me about that flight was, on a somewhat regular interval towards right before we took off, the pilot kept chiming in,
Yeah.
And every time he chimed in, he was clearly giving up more and more.
Oh my God.
So initially he was like, we're trying, folks. Then he was like, I don't know what's happening. And by the end, he was telling us to complain.
That pilot was embarrassed.
Yeah.
He had apologized. He's like, look, folks, I have been apologizing all day. I don't know what to say anymore. I'm so sorry. Like he's like, yeah, that was
I would
crazy.
feel the same way. Yeah, you know what's bad when your pilot is telling you to call and complain.
Yeah.
Or Delta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just wild. Like this is very far from anything I've ever even come close to experiencing. You know what I mean? The last time I flew, I think was 04, 05, maybe 06, somewhere in there, where the Boy Scouts went down to the Florida Sea Base and we went sailboating for a week. And yeah, I don't even remember that flight. I barely remember anything about it.
It was probably a good flight then if you don't remember.
It was so
right?
Well, it was also so fucking long ago.
Yeah.
Like, there's not a lot I even remember. I remember a few things from that trip, but not I remember some cool ass shit from that trip, but like not the actual travel portions of it. Like, but with this trip, what I realized with this trip, we were gone 9 days. We traveled 7.
Yeah,
we only had 2 days of non-travel.
We were.
Some of those days were like purposeful traveling. Like
it was like 3.5 hours on a train, but that still counts.
Yeah, and on paper it didn't seem like it was going to be that much, but it certainly, and with the delays too.
Yeah.
It certainly felt like a lot.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about airports for a minute though, because just the strangest places.
It really is a strange
place.
place.
The rules of society are
different.
Just gone.
The rules here are different. The norms are different.
Yeah, because everyone's coming and going on a different schedule. So you could be up all night. You could have just gotten here. People drink at 9 a.m. People sleep on the floor. I mean, like, it's just anything goes. I once spent like 3 hours at an airport Chili's in Florida. And I remember
like
that.
The beginning of a really bad, like, Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah, right?
Jesus.
3 hours at an airport Chili's. That could be. That's the name of my autobiography. Lord Jesus in heaven.
I kind of like airports because I feel like on some level, no one's here to have, like, no one's coming to an airport because they want to be at an airport. They're coming to an airport to get somewhere.
Pass through, essentially.
Yeah, and at some level, everyone's on the same mission. So I think there's a level of respect that doesn't exist in the rest of society. Like, no one wants to be here. Everyone's like, I just gotta get out.
Yeah.
So people don't care as much, you know? Right. Like, people aren't looking around. They're just like, I'm trying to get through my life.
Well, there are places where it's that way for people's jobs, too. So.
Well, what always surprises me is people who like really dress to the nines to fly.
That used to be really common.
Yeah, I understand, back in the day a little bit, flying was for only people that could afford it, right? So it was kind of this elite thing and people dressed up for it because it was like a special thing. And now it's not. I've never felt that it was special in that way of like, event and that you would dress up. It's very like, get through this line to get through this line to get on this plane. It's very like cattle herding.
It's certainly not, yes, exactly. It's fucking cattle herding, but it's also more expensive than it's ever been. And so you know what I mean?
Yeah, but more people have access to it now. More people are flying than ever before.
Yes, that's true.
There's
yes.
more airports. I mean,
yes, but you can still only do it if you can afford it. You know what I mean? Like,
it's still not,
and it's still not fucking cheap at all. There are like, what was that one cabbie in Loch Ness telling you could get a flight for $20?
£20
over there?
Yeah, well,
a flight?
Yeah, well, like flying around different countries in Europe when you're already in Europe is not very expensive.
Well,
but he was saying if and you have to know too, like there was a certain site he was booking on at a certain time, like 2 weeks prior. Like he had all the the math
he had it on
down.
lock.
But yeah, he was saying he could get flights from Inverness to Amsterdam for £20.
Yeah,
because he was saying I would just go there for the weekend to party and then come home.
Right, but even so with that here, like we can't get from fucking Michigan to Tennessee for $20. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a 6-hour drive.
And it's like our country is so big too, you know, like think about the size of Scotland compared to even just the size of Michigan.
I mean, yeah, Michigan is much more massive than Scotland.
Right, so it's like it's so much easier to hop countries because they are so much smaller, and they also have the transport to get you there.
Well, and that's the other thing too, is that country is designed for public transit. It was never designed. It was built before cars.
Scotland.
So everything over there, pretty much. But yes, I am just talking about Scotland because that's the only one I've ever been to. But
it's different in that way for sure. I mean, even in the U.S., we have some of our major cities have really good public transportation, but overall, not very many.
No.
I mean, you know, Detroit is literally Motor City. Everything is built around the car.
Vehicle.
So it's like
the personal vehicle.
The whole way the city is landscaped is based around you driving in a car.
Now, I feel like it would be that way in a place. You're gonna have to let us know about this. I feel like it would be that way in a place like Germany.
Germany is famous for how amazing its public transportation system is.
Public
transportation.
But it also has the Autobahn.
Yeah, but people in Germany, they use the train. One of my exchange students uses the train every day to get to school, and it runs almost perfectly there. It's so on time, it's so well managed that people can come 100% rely on it, 100% trust it. I talked to my German teacher, and he was saying, it's wild for especially a lot of Europeans, how many Americans own cars and quite frankly need cars to function, because in Europe, and it's just a smaller place, so it's easier to make this work.
Yeah.
But especially in Europe, whether you're in a big city or even like what we'd consider a suburban area, like a greater area, like the greater Lansing area, metropolitan kind of place, you're still going to use this public transportation system, and even if you're going across the country. So people still own cars, sure, but compared to what they have, that's quite frankly much cheaper, and it's less of any kind of risk. You know, you can take the train and buy a train pass. You buy a car, you're also buying insurance, and if something goes wrong, you're buying to fix it.
Yeah.
So it's a better choice for a lot of people. And you also look to countries like China. China is, size-wise, far closer to the U.S. than Germany is. Far, far closer. China is a huge country, kind of like us. The sizes aren't quite the same. I think we're a bit bigger than them if you add Alaska and Hawaii into the mix. But if you look at places like China, huge country, landmass-wise, people there still rely on the trains. They don't use as much, say, in Germany, obviously, but they still rely on the trains. They're not buying cars like we do, because the train system there is reliable and people can use it, they can bank on it.
Wow. So you would say they're not going off the rails on a crazy train?
Oh!
This isn't even good, we're just tired. Like,
yeah, that's a good disclaimer. We've been up for almost 24 hours.
And we're recording this on an iPhone in an airport, so sorry about the audio.
In a corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, it's just, you know, this is the first time I've ever experienced anything like this in my life. I've never traveled across an ocean, internationally besides Canada.
Over the pond, as they say.
You know.
Across the pond.
And I think it's great. The crazy part too is the flight over the pond was the easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the flights themselves haven't been bad. So before and after.
The very first flight
yeah.
was not rotten. It was rotten.
Well, like when we were in the air, it was fine.
Not when it was that hot. I was so hot.
By the time we were in the air, the air conditioning was on.
Girl, not enough.
I think the outside of the plane was just cool enough to cool down the inside of the plane.
We were just in cooler
air.
Let's go back to the car thing again really quick, because I would love to see public transportation in Detroit. I think it's long overdue. It's very needed.
Detroit's a place where it could work.
And car insurance is so high in Detroit, and there is legislation working on this right now, but people cannot afford it, myself included, right? So it's like, we do need public transportation. I'll say that, and I'll leave that said. But I also want to say that there is something nice about having a car and being able to hop in it whenever I want and go somewhere. And even if I don't want to go anywhere, I just want to go for a drive. I don't know if this is like the American dream and me speaking, but there is something nice about having a car and having that ability.
Well, I don't know if it's an American dream or whatever, but we were raised to this idea that you're 16, you get a license, that equals freedom.
Well, and the idea, like, you know, in high school or in college or whatever, like hopping in the car with your friends and just going for a drive, that was a thing.
I mean,
So it's very nostalgic of like
see that's
coming of age, freedom.
It's not just, it's not just a thing. It's literally like, it's to the point where you, like me personally, like I've spent, when I finally got a car and a license and everything, on a nightly basis, for years, I'm talking like from the age of 17 to fucking 23, it's like 6-7 years minimum, nightly basis, I'm taking a 1 to up to 5 hour drive on back roads, on dirt roads, just driving around, like literally trying to get lost. That's what we used to do. We used to get a thrill out of getting to a place and not knowing how to get home.
Foreshadowing, folks, Lost in the Dark.
And literally, and like
pre-GPS.
that was, yes, pre-GPS. We still had fucking maps in our cars.
Yeah.
And before smartphones, where at least I didn't have, me and the people in the car I was with didn't have fucking smartphones, put it that way.
Right.
Yeah, we just would fucking go. And so like we learned, it's again, and during that time we'd have, crazy, amazing, philosophical, though honestly, those are the conversations I wish I had recorded for a podcast. You know what I mean? That's where this podcast started, was on those drives in those nights, because we would have these crazy fucking conversations that, like, I ultimately, that's what I wanted to always turn this into. And yeah, and it's like so much. It gets to the point where driving is first nature, let alone second nature. You know what I mean? Like, I
wonder if that's a thing everywhere though. Like, I mean, obviously probably not in places like New York where most people don't have cars, but like, in Iowa, are people just like hopping in their cars and driving around?
What the fuck else is there to do?
Right? Like, I feel like of course they are, and yeah. There is something nice about it.
But it's also because everything is so much more spaced out here. Like,
yeah.
So much more.
Yeah. A lot of things aren't walking accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy. You guys got anything else to say? Want to wrap this up real quick? Solid 30 minutes.
Anything else, Grace? Goose?
No, I'm tired, man.
We're really tired, but it's been a fun trip. I'm sure the bro here will expand more on that.
Oh my god.
There's been some ups, there's been some downs, but it's cool that we all got to go together as a family.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's pretty crazy. I never thought growing up that our family would be taking an international flight together.
No.
Like, it's just...
No, not when you and I were growing up in a 600 square foot house.
Right, it's just like, it's very... That alone is really cool. That we just had a chance to do this. So.
And the fact... And it is... Like, it is crazy to me that literally the farthest I've ever gone from home in every direction has always been with Grandma. I realized that the other day. And yeah, no, when I was 10 years old at the East Lansing Public Library, not giving a fuck about any book in the building besides the one that said Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, that I would actually be at Loch Ness ever. Like, that fucks my head up sitting here right now, and I've already been there.
Yeah.
So, like, that's so crazy to me. But
and Grandma too, like, she hasn't done a lot of international traveling, but
she's done so much traveling.
She is a traveler. I mean, she told me stories about...
That was her and Grandpa's thing.
Yeah, her and Grandpa used to go, they would do road trips all over the country, but when I first moved to Detroit into my first apartment, she gave me this tiny little one-person coffee maker. I'm not talking like a Keurig, just like a tiny one-person coffee maker. And she was like, this is the coffee maker that Grandpa and I packed in the car with Grandpa when we went on our road trips, because hotels didn't have coffee makers in the rooms then. It wasn't a thing.
Oh, wow.
So she took it with them everywhere they went. A few months after, literally broke it, but because I'm a terrible person. But I just like think about things like that and like the difference between traveling in the U.S. There's so much to see, and traveling abroad, and it is very different. But travel is travel at the end of the day, and I've always felt like that's where I kind of got the travel bug from, is from her. So.
Oh well, yeah. Growing up, she always was like, go places. You know, she was always about that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all right, we'll wrap this up. But yeah, you're right. We'll get this posted, and then I think hopefully, because Aaron also, one of the other hosts of Lost in the Dark, was on his own trip down to Tennessee. I think he got back to Michigan today, so hopefully him and I will be meeting up sometime this week to do a podcast, and it will be a long one because it will be breaking down every step of the way of this trip. And his trip, and then also he's got a show in Detroit at the Sanctuary on Friday. Fucking be there if you're in Michigan and you're hearing this and you want to go see a good goddamn metal show this Friday night. Go to the Sanctuary in Detroit. It's going to be amazing. I'm pretty sure all of Lost in the Dark will be there, and I will be handing out Lost in the Dark stickers to every human being in that building. So
and every ghost and every monster.
Yep. It is going to be a great fucking night. So yeah, I guess we'll wrap this up for now, and we will be back again very soon.
Yep. Get lost, everybody. Over and out.
I love you all to death. Good night.
Bye.